Hello and welcome back to our Friday night blog video. Today's video is going to be on the fundamentals of dressage. So I have a lot of students currently that are interested in dressage. So I thought I would make a little video on kind of what dressage is to me and how the fundamentals and a lot of the principles in training for dressage can really help riders in any discipline. So a lot of times I think when people think of dressage, they think of a high-level horse, a rider with white breeches, doing a lot of the like the fancy movements like you would see in Grand Prix dressage or see in the Olympics. But to me, don't consider myself to be necessarily an expert in the discipline. But when I start horses, I start them with the fundamentals that classical dressage teaches. So basically what that is balance and self-carriage of the horse and lightness and responsiveness. So we'll start with balance and self-carriage. What does that really mean? Horses aren't really designed to carry a rider. So, their backs can be easily damaged actually by the weight that we put on them when riding. And the horse really needs to learn how to carry a rider and how to carry the horse's body, how to position himself to best carry our weight. So to do that, he needs to basically lower his head in order to lift his back. Think about it if you were carrying a backpack and you were walking around with a hard arch in your back. If you move around like that all day, it's going to make you very uncomfortable. Versus think if you kind of kept your core tight, kept your back straight, how that would allow you to carry a little bit more weight. The same thing applies for the horse. So what we want the horse to do again is to lower his neck, not just working on head set the way that he's carrying his head, but that he's lowering his neck, stepping up with his hind legs in order to carry our weight. So that goes for any discipline, whether you're trying to do the dressage movements or if you're just trail riding, the horse needs to be able to carry your weight. And when they're in that position, that also gives them a lot more balance. So what is balance important for? Obviously it's important to do your transitions, have a smooth ride, and just to give you a comfortable ride when you're on your horse. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Now this is, I'm here with Gretel today. She belongs to a client of mine, and I've been working with her for about a year. And she was trained some in dressage before, and we've kind of been furthering her. She's not a high-level horse, but she knows her basics. So what I want to be able to do is when I kind of sit back in the saddle and take a feel of the reins, I want to see her soften. And you're going to see her in a minute. See how she just slowly kind of drops her head. So she's softening to the bit, and she's lowering her neck. Now when I ask her to move forward, I want to do the same thing. That I can just hold a light contact, and you can see as she moves forward, she's kind of working through her neck, and she's working with her hind legs. And what this develops is a strong top line. The top line runs from between the horse's ears back through to the tail. And what you'll see in horses that carry themselves correctly and that are well balanced and trained, you'll see that their top line is more developed. So they have more muscling here, they have more muscling right behind the withers where the saddle sits, and even their back just looks smoother, stronger. You shouldn't be able to necessarily see or feel their spine. So you can see how Gretel just holds this position as we go around. I'm not holding her down there with the reins, just have a very light feel. And the way I'm sitting encourages her to carry herself this way as well. So I'm keeping my back flat, I'm keeping my hips underneath of me, and I want her to do the same. So we go into the trot, and she keeps the same position. So this is self-carriage. Again, I'm not holding her here, I'm not pushing her up and pulling her down into the bridle. I'm just maintaining good equitation. And she's carrying herself in a way that supports my weight on her back. Now moving on to the second piece of the dressage fundamentals and what they mean to me in my training is lightness and responsiveness. So in dressage, one of the main things is that you want your cues to be invisible. So when you're riding, you want to be able to direct your horse and have spectators, just see the horse performing or moving and not really be able to tell what you're doing. So to do this, horse needs to be very responsive. And that means that I want to be able to walk forward. I want to be able to stop. I want to be able to change gaits. And that she is so light and responsive that on the ground you can hardly see what I'm doing. Now I also want to kind of have control of her body parts, that I can ask her to move her shoulders around. Or that I could ask her to move her hips around. And that she does this again lightly. So I'm not having to kick her around or really even use a lot of heel, but I'm just kind of using my leg and my seat. And even if it's not always smooth, or it's not always, the perfect footfalls or position that, you might want if you were doing this in the show ring, I just want to feel like I can move my horse around and they're responsive to the cues that I give them. And again, this goes for any discipline, whether you're actually doing dressage, you're doing hunters or jumpers, if you're just trail riding. Obviously I think you can see and understand that a horse that carries themselves this way, that's nice and balanced and round, is going to give you a smoother ride. And that when they're responsive like this, it's going to make it more pleasurable. You're going to feel more like you're at one with your horse, and like you're kind of a team when you're riding, versus, you having to kind of force your horse into everything. So what I did there is just a little leg yield. And again, she's light. So as we're moving around here, I kind of feel like I have just a little bit of, I like to call it kind of joystick control, that I can just move my body in certain ways, and Gretel just moves right around with that. So this is what I consider to basically be the fundamentals of dressage. The self-carriage, roundness along the top line, lowering their neck, working with their hind end, versus just, breaking at the pole or giving to the bit. And being light and responsive, that you're not pushing them up and pulling them down into the bridle, that you're not having to, kick for different movements, but that you can just have a light feel of the reins and direct the horse just with slight movements through your seat. So that's today's video, and next week, and actually the whole next month, we have something fun coming up. We would like to take your questions for the June blog videos. So in the comments below, if you have a question, doesn't matter if it pertains to training, if it pertains to a riding question, even if it's just something about horse care, we would love to answer it with a video. So leave it in the comments below, and if you like this video, please share it on YouTube, like our Facebook page, and of course subscribe so that we can send you weekly blog updates. Okay, have a great weekend.